Hey there folks, my name's Simple Gaming and welcome to what I'm hoping to be a series of tutorials for Arma 3. I know I've been away for a long time. I've been away for about 4 years on YouTube, which is a hell of a long time, but you know, I couldn't really help but to be drawn back to this platform. So obviously as time's gone on, so have I. I no longer do Gary's mod. I may still play it from time to time, but I'm no longer doing server development, so I'm sorry for those of you who subscribed for server development and Gary's mod stuff. May come back to it in the future, but for now, this is what I'm doing. This is the first now series on Arma 3. Throughout the series, I'll show you things like port forwarding, setting up a server, Zeus mods, just general modding, and loads more information that we can all sort of take advantage of. But without further ado, let's just get straight into what is the #1 question on most people's minds when they get into Arma 3, and that's how do I make a server. So what we'll do today is we're going to learn how to make a Arma 3 live server using the Altis Life 5 only really need 3 downloads, which is the Altis Life framework, EXTDB3, the Tofi Arma dedicated server tool, and also, pardon me, you'll also need Heidi SQL or an SQL reader, and you're also going to need XAMPP. So what I've done is I've left all the links in the description below, just giving all the details and all the downloads for all those pieces. So, and obviously, you know, you're going to need Arma 3. That's a given. But first of all, our first step is we are going to make our Arma 3 server. So we're going to head over to Arma. At the moment, I've got Arma running just for later on in the video, so I can show you guys it's working. But we're going to go to Arma 3 server. This can be found with games and tools. It may not pop up if it's just games. I don't think it will. No, it won't. So what you're going to need to do is just activate tools as well, and Arma 3 server should pop up by there. So once you've got that installed, you can do is you're going to right click, manage, browse local files. And what that should do is it should take you to this folder here. So this looks a little bit like your regular Steam client of Arma 3. Now, what some people can do, which is completely up to you depending on how far you want to take this, some people will just run this server out of this folder, which you can, you're more than welcome to. However, with me, so I like to experiment with my servers. So sometimes I'll have an Arma Life server going up, I'll have an XR server going up, I'll have an experimental server going up, and I'll even have a mission ops server going up. So what I like to do is I actually like to go into my folders and make a specific folder for that server. So that's what I've done here. So if you can see here, this is my D drive, and I've just made a folder called YouTube server. And when we go into that, it's an exact copy of this. So all you can do is just copy and paste all of this into your new folder. Now we've done that, we can get rid of this. We have a complete copy of our server here. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to obviously put Arma Life into this server. So currently this will just run straight pure Arma. Go to the MP missions, there's nothing. This will just run Arma, but it won't actually do anything, which is where our framework comes into it. So if we open up our framework, here is all of Altis Life. Some of this is not necessary, so what I'll do is I'll run through how I set it up. So first of all, we're going to go to our MP missions. We're going to take this Altis Life here. So this is the mission folder. The only thing that's missing is the actual mission file itself. You can't see it. So what we'll do is we'll just drag that into our MP missions. Let that go over. Okay, and we're going to go into the actual mission itself. And as you can see here, you've got a folder in the actual framework called SQMs. And we're just going to put mission Altis in there as well. But then we're going to get rid of Altis on the end of it. And it's going to be called mission.sqm. So I don't know why they do this, but basically this server, like this mission won't run without the SQM. The SQM will handle, let's just give it a quick open a second. I'll show you what it includes now. So if you see here, the SQM file holds all the add-ons required for that mission. Here it holds all your editor information, and it holds basically all of these little variables here, which include every little precise location of every asset placed in that file. If you have a look here, you can see this is basically, this part here is basically just giving me details for the helicopter shop. So yeah, this is the very vital file, but there we go, so that's already in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put the actual Altis Life mod into it. So what we want to have is we're going to make a new folder within this folder. So this is back in the root of the server now. We're going to call this @ a life server. Okay, go into that, add another folder, and call that add-ons. Now once we're inside the @life server add-ons folder, what we'll do is we're going to drag in our life server folder from the framework. Another bit of details that I forgot to mention actually is you need a bit of software called PBO Manager. So all of this will be in the description below. I'm sorry that I've left this out. But yeah, essentially what that will do is PBO is kind of like compressing the folder but making it readable for Arma. It's a bit easier for Arma to read it. If you go into it at the moment, we've got all of our functions here for gangs, housing, basically everything that Altis Life needs to run. So what we'll do is once you have PBO Manager installed, right click the folder and PBO Manager, pack into lifeserver.pbo, not IFA but PBO. A little bit of a console pop-up, and there's our PBO file. Perfect. So there's our life server. Let's see what else is here. So we got headless client, we got some documentation, got the SQL database there, which is great. That's what we'll need in a second. We got some battle life filters as well. So what we'll do is we will also go into our battle life folder on the server, take all these besides the readme folder, and we'll just drop those in. So all this is, it just adds battle eye conditions, so then you don't get any battle eye issues. Well, hopefully not. Okay. Right, so that's the server setup. Now what we'll need is we need a way for we need to set up our database now. Okay, so what we're going to use is a program called XAMPP. Sorry, I just had a bit of trouble trying to get it over to my other window. So we can minimize this. Well, we'll close that down for a second. So once you open up XAMPP, you'll get something like this pop up. Now what we're looking for is the Apache server, the MySQL, and the FileZilla server. So what we can do is just start all of these. You might get a little, you'll get a little window pop up. You get a little window pop up from time to time. There we go. Sorry about that. All these little black screens is just my computer basically. There we go. Yeah. And now the third one. As you can see, they're just popping up by there. Cool. So all those, there we go. All those are now running. What you can do is you can double click on these services and basically just select them to start up as services when you first start the system. You can do that if you want. If you're keeping this running all the time, then I'd recommend doing that. But for us, for the purpose of the video, we're not going to bother. But now you have a local FileZilla server, you have a local SQL server, and you have a local Apache server. Apache? I'm not sure, but you have these local servers now currently up and running. Now, what we're going to have to do is go into this MySQL server here, click into the admin, wait for that to load up. Pardon me, sorry. Now what should happen is Give me a second. Okay, awesome stuff. So what should happen is you should get a web browser window open up with phpMyAdmin. Okay, so this is now your SQL. As you see here, I've already got some Altis Life folders here. So for the purposes of this, we'll get rid of those. We'll get rid of this one here. I forgot how to do it now. What am I doing? I forgot what I'm doing. There we go, drop database. Okay. Cool. So I do need to go back into this framework a second because we need to get that SQL folder file even. You can either use Notepad++, you can use HideSQL to run this. What we'll do instead is we'll just drag that over to here a second. Close that again. And then we are going to go to SQL, which is up here on the top. Now what I've got is, I'll do this using Notepad++. Obviously you can use Notepad, you can use WordPad, or you can usually just drag this in, but we won't do that today. We'll just copy this. So as you can see here, basically create the database if it doesn't exist. And essentially this is all the database information that we need for our server. So now we can just paste that into here and we can press go. Give it a second. Ah, right, my bad. Right, okay, that's my issue. Give me a second. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to click into new instead. Ignore me. Oh wait, am I? No, I'm not. What have I done? Hold up. Pages? Oh, okay. No, never mind. Okay, so that worked. Did it work? Yeah, it did. Okay, cool. There we go. So if you just refresh the server once, like you sort of, I don't know why all those errors popped up. I'll have to look into that. But when you refresh, when you reload the server, what you'll see is Altis Life will appear, and you'll have all your nice, you know, you'll have your wanted information, vehicles, players, houses, gangs, containers. And you'll also have your procedures as well. So basically, these are things that happen during server wipes and stuff. You can run these as you want. So say for instance, if like it's a bunch of old vehicle, like your dead vehicles on the server, you just click into this, press go, and then that'll run the process. So right, that's our database setup. We don't really need to touch this anymore. Now you're probably going, okay, cool. So that's me done. Well, it's not you done. We still have a few more steps to go. Second step is we basically have a server, we have a database, we need those to communicate, which is where EXTDB3 comes in. So what we'll do is, as you can see, this one's already set up for us pretty much. All you gotta do is just click and drag this add folder into our server. Boom, click into it. Now we're gonna go to extdb3 conf.ini. Click into that, and that will open up your ini folder. So what we'll have to do is on this bottom part by here, we're going to change this to the name of our database, which is Altis Life. IP is 127.0.0.1, which is your local host. Port is 3306, which matches up with our port by here. Username is going to be root. Password, we haven't got a password. And the database is going to be Altis Life. Save that, close that. Database will now be linked up to Altis Life. Then last but not least, what we need is a way to run this. At the moment, if you just click Arma 3 server, then it'll just run plain, won't know what to do with itself, so we need a way to tell it what to run. You can usually do that with a batch file. So you can do like a start.bat, which is what some people do. Me personally, I like to use TADST. So all we're going to do is just drag that in. Right, double click it, and it'll open up our dedicated server tool. Nice. So what we'll do is we'll call this, say, Sin's Life server. We want maximum players of, say, 64, which is a hell of a lot. Password, we'll put muffins, admin password. So the admin password is going to basically be useful for, well, admins. So regular password is to get in the server. Admin password can be like banana. Okay, if we double click server file, it'll immediately point you to the server file server executable in that folder, which is great. Rules, on details, we want to do a persistent battlefield with auto init on. A lot of people mess this up, and then they go, okay, well, so I started that, why isn't anything happening? And this is the reason why. So essentially what this does, the persistent battlefield means that once the last person leaves, that server stays up, the server continues to run. And what auto init means is that once the server starts, regardless of if anyone's joined it or not, the framework will begin. Because otherwise, it doesn't, like, you won't get anything loaded up, essentially. Codec quality, stuff like that, you know, obviously the default is 3. You can change that to 30 if you want. It depends on what you're doing. Some people like to use Task Force Radio, and they like to have TeamSpeak open. Some people just use Discord. If you're just doing a regular server, like, there's nothing saying that you can just keep it at that for latency and stuff. I mean, I would put it to about 15, meet in the middle. Cool. Go to rules, voting enabled. We'll take voting enabled off. Verify signatures, version 2. File patching, no. Required build. All these bits and bobs are obviously depending on you. Put battle eye on, because it's just, you know, you're going to want to do that. Battle eye on and take off voting enabled. Mission. Here's our Altis Life file. We'll double click that. Go into mods. We want our life server, and we want our EXD DB3. Difficulty doesn't really matter. Some people will have things like they'll turn the crosshair off. If you want to keep it first person only, turn third person view off. You know, this is all up to you. Performance, keep that the same. Server-side scripting, keep that the same. This is Archon here, so this is server command password. So you can make this like, you know, we'll do this again like, I don't even know what to call that. Carrot. There we go, carrot. But this should be done. If you don't want to do this every time, just press save. This is our default profile now. If ever we open up this bit, this will be open. Now, all we have to do, click launch. And what should happen is, yep, on my other screen we have Arma 3 starting up. Now, one thing I will remind you is that because this is doing it through the dedicated server tool, it's not going to have a client necessarily. What will happen is you'll get the splash screen. I would show you, but it's on my other screen. You'll get the splash screen show up, you know, with the Arma loading bit. So that'll come up in initializing add-ons, blah, 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 blah. And then a little window will appear, like a very little window. I'll quickly show you what that is now. But what you can also do is if you go to this here, the RPD timestamp, press monitor. Ah, here we go. So this is our server. This is literally our server here. You close this, the server closes down. Now if you see here, this is literally what our server's doing. So if we look, try and just scroll down a little bit. You might get a firewall pop-up like I just did. You just have to just allow that. Or if you can see here, starting Altis Life, connect to the Steam servers, reading mission as well. So this reading mission bit just means it's processing the information. Now, if you get any kind of errors, chances are it'll be around about this area. So you get a load of spam about sharp rocks and stuff. That's fine. Just ignore that. There's one part which you're looking for. Game started. There's been an error in my database connection. What's that from? What have I done? Error database connection.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Ah, cool. Right. Okay, sorted. Awesome. Right, okay. I've realized what I did wrong. Okay, so as you can see here, EXDB3 is loaded. Starting Altis Life. Sorted. There we go. Server's up and running. Now what I did wrong, which I'll try and grab for you now, is I actually had the wrong version of this on the system. So what I will do is I will make sure to put the right version in the description. But what you'll find is that this so this ext will come with 2 extra files. You'll have the ext add-on, which you just drag straight into the root. Then you'll also have these 2 files here, the tbb malloc files. These handle your memory and basically just handling the server load. So make sure that these are in the these have to be in the root of the server. And obviously, there you go. But as you can see, game started, and if we just have a quick double check of that, monitor again, there we go. Now if we go to MP missions, Altis Life, config, go to config master. Now you can see here spyglass toggle false. Honestly guys, I wouldn't use spyglass. Like, I don't know how to use it. I don't claim that I do. Personally, if it was me, I would just invest the money. There's like things like 30 euros. If you are serious about this server, I would get something like Infostar. But at the same time, there's a lot of free alternatives out there on the market. So, you know, it's completely up to you. So, let's have a look and see if we can get in. So now we're back in Arma. And just whilst obviously that's happening there, since live server. Okay, there we go. Muffins. We should be able to load in. Gonna wait for that mission file to be received. Obviously, Altis Life, when you first start off, it is a relatively, strange enough, 4,000 kilobytes is a really small mission file. When you start customizing the server, you'll find that mission file will like blow up. So it's always worth putting that mission file into a PBO. So once you've finished editing everything, put it into a PBO because it'll be smaller. It'll be easier for the system to pick up. But yeah, here we go. Let's just spawn in Kavala. And hey, check that out, guys. And here we are on our own Altis Life server. I got my phone and everything, my player menu even. A lot. Awesome. Well guys, I hope this has helped. One thing to note that this will probably need a bit of further configuration when it comes to things like port forwarding. I will put that into another video, but as it goes, unless you already haven't got your ports forwarded, your friends might have a bit of an issue joining this unless they're on the same network as you. Long story short, you can basically do a quick Google search to find out how to forward your ports. It's a really it is straightforward if you kind of have a bit of an understanding of what you're doing, but I will make another video for that. However, anyway guys, thank you so much for joining me on this little tutorial. We got there in the end. but yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Please don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment with any questions you have. Obviously, because I've only just started this series back up, I want to know what you guys would like to know. Is there a certain mod you want to know how to install? Is there a certain functionality you would like to get your head around? let me know. Put it in the comments, and I'll see if I can make a video about it to help you out. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!